Hello, welcome back to Psieros.Psychic.Signs. I am Psieros, the Psychic person, and we're going to use the eye of the psychic, the third eye, this is the third eye. Okay. So, I feel like I'm a bit far away from the camera. Fine. I can't bring the camera any closer to me at this point in time, so you'll just have to get used to it, I'm afraid. Oh, so far away, but my hands, they are close. So, let's talk about a few things that I have predicted and that have come true, and then we'll also have some other predictions that I'm going to make. So, there has been a strong prediction in me, psychic prediction, psychic sensing or knowing or vision, whatever, that there would be a lot more fires. So you had the Grenfell Tower in London, and I wasn't really paying attention to my psychic sense. I was just dismissing it all the time, so I didn't pick up on that one. Then I started tuning into things. I'll tell you the ones that have come true already first, so I build up a little bit of credibility, you know, if I can, in my dressing gown. I'm the dressing gown psychic, and I don't have bosoms, but I feel a little bit bosomy at the moment. Why am I doing that? So yes, okay. So let's talk about psychic things. Oh, that's what this is. What is that? Is that a key? Where's that come from? What even is that? Tuning fork? No. Psychic. That obviously means something. That is a symbol for you, whoever you're watching, if that means something to you. Like a bird. But these metal bits of it's all metal. The bits of the back seem to be important as well. Oh. Put it down. So, psychic. Now you're here with me. Now you're listening. Now you're paying attention. Now I've raptured your attention there. Let's have a drink of tea. Yeah, we've got to beat around the bush for a little while you all get your brains in gear. Come on, up to speed, get up to speed, listening, ready, opening brain opening. Right, so I've done, I predicted fires. So there was all the California forest fires, and they were raging for ages. There was the Grenfell Tower, but I didn't predict that one, but then I subsequently did predict, generally there will be more fires, and there was some fires in car parks in Britain, and there are other fires in America. And just another one's popped up as well, which is the Trump Tower fire, leaves one seriously injured, which is not too bad, apart from for that person, which is very bad, which sucks. But I've had a prediction that there will be fires with thick black smoke, and sometimes not even much fire at all, but more thick black smoke. So I've had, there's going to be a thick black smoke thing happening a lot. So if you tune into this, you will start to notice it in the news that you will see fires, and then you will see thick black smoke. And that is something to do with the earth, the collective humankind, cleansing and detoxing its throat chakra. And I have a throat chakra thing going on as I say that. The people of the planet are dejunking their throat chakras. I've had throat chakra stuff going on for a while. I can feel mine playing up now as I speak. I used to be a smoker, and I quit smoking 4 months ago. And that being a smoker and then quitting smoking has had an effect on my voice long term, and it's changed it from a shallow speaking voice and a shallow singing voice to a more resonant and deeper, deeply felt and more expressive and authentic speaking and singing voice. But I've noticed that throat chakra issues are going on in other people as well. So your voice, you listening, watching, whatever, may start to change. You may start to have lots of colds all of a sudden. And the thing that a cold does for you is it masks the sound of your voice for a while so that you can get used to it being changed afterwards. Because if your voice suddenly randomly changed to be a more deep resonant voice, that would be traumatic for you. If your voice suddenly changed instantly from a shallow nasal head voice to a deep resonant booming voice, that would be very traumatic to your sense of self, because you go from one thing to another and it's like, what the hell happened? Who am I? And that could be very traumatic. So as I understand it, just from my observations and what I know about my body and what I've seen in other people, as I understand it, natural evolution in the human person tends to happen in a way that is that you are able to cope with. Then you get traumas that come in that you can't cope with at the time, but you have to cope with them afterwards. But this feels like a trauma-less, no trauma to this this throat chakra thing. So for some reason there are going to be lots of fires, but even more thick black smoke. So look out for those words, thick black smoke, and also look out for those images in the news. So I feel resonant. I've got a picture of this thick black smoke thing here. I feel like I know that experience because I've had that vision and I've had that experience in my own throat and my own lungs. And this is, I feel, why I feel this way is because it's not just me. This is a collective thing that's happening. It's not just happening because I quit smoking. This is happening as a collective purging. So you will see more fires, you'll see more thick black smoke, sometimes even, as I say, not much fire at all. Could be a quick little fire, but then a lot of black smoke. So it could be an oil fire, for example, or an electrical fire, something that involves a lot of, plastics burning, things like this. So there'll be a lot of that in the news. It's just going to be picked up by the consciousness, the collective consciousness, and we're going to see more of it being shown to us. Quite why, I don't know, other than it's a purging from the neck and the shoulders collectively, and the throat. This is all an expansion of the throat chakra, which means we're coming into a more creative and a more expressive way of being, a more truth-centered way of speaking. So you may find even that news readers will start to slip up their lines a little bit more. That has happened. I've seen it happen. And news readers will start to cough more. You'll see that as well, because one of the problems with news is that a lot of it is inaccurate, and most of the newsreaders who are speaking are not speaking. They're not speaking their truth. They're just being told what to read. So what that means is, as collectively as we all start to open up our throat chakras and speak more of our truth, then the throat chakra makes it more difficult for you to speak lies. So even if you're reading something, if part of you knows that what you're reading is not quite true, it doesn't make sense, your throat chakra will start to tell you that, and it will start to bring up emotion, and it will start to resist, and it will start to shut and close and cough. I've seen many people cough when they start coughing and spluttering because they were telling a story about themselves that was exaggerated, that was wrong, that was basically a set of lies that were or a sob story, trying to keep a pity party going for themselves. And I've seen people start to cough in the middle of that while I listen to them, and I've both had that happen in conversation, and I've also had it happen in overheard conversation. So while I'm speaking with someone and while I'm just overhearing the ambient conversations going on, people will start to cough in the middle of a big sort of exaggerated tale about someone who's wronged them or whatever. They'll start to cough because, as I say, collectively the throat chakra is opening up, and it won't the throat chakra can't tolerate you lying. It will make you like your throat chakra, when it's starting to operate in a healthy way, it can't lie. Your throat chakra just doesn't lie. It just can't do it. It cannot do that. And if the mind or some other chakra is trying to produce lies, and the throat chakra is healthy now, or working at least, or open, then what that does is the energy just goes instead. So yeah, I don't know the complete ins and outs of it, all right, but that's what I'm experiencing and what I've seen. You will see people in interviews on TV coughing more, or you will seem to see celebrities who used to speak in a certain way, suddenly they're speaking in a different way, or suddenly their attitude has changed about an old issue and they've renewed the way they speak about it. They're being more truthful, they're being more open, they're being more honest, and they're being more clear, and they're being more authentic. So you will see that happening a lot. So this is all throat chakra clearing. And this is to do with the fires and the smoke as well. The fires and the smoke are to do with like purging rage and purging inner toxins, and that's being reflected in events, because what happens collectively, as I understand this, just from my own observations, if this is wrong for you, then fine, but this is how I experience it and how I understand things. The events in the world that happen, that we see in the news and that we hear about or that we watch, are an expression of collective human consciousness, and collective consciousness in general. I can't speak for the animal kingdom, right? But some of the human consciousness has infected the animal kingdom as well. That's why cats act the way they do. I don't think cats act that way in the wild. Cats and dogs act the way they do, you know, the silly things they do, because they've come into contact with human consciousness, and there's been a certain overlap. There's been a kind of merging, a taming, a mutual, you know, cats are now becoming more human-like in their sensitivity and what they get up to. You know, that's because of the merging of the human consciousness and the animal consciousness. So they've learned from us. Their intelligence has increased because of how we've been interacting with them. I don't think cats in the wild play the piano. Right? It's just an intuition I'm having. So, okay, what else we got? So we've got the fire thing. I swear I was saying something else, but I've lost it now. I have. So you're gonna have that. And what else? So I predicted volcanoes. I've predicted volcanoes. This is ages ago, and I didn't really believe it. And I thought, it can't be right. And that's going to tie in with the thick black smoke thing as well. Or just that's going to have smoke. But I'm still feeling thick black smoke is really strong as a prediction for a global, lots of things happening. Lots of these thick black smoke occasions, events happening. So I was explaining. Events and disasters in the world are an expression of what we cannot deal with ourselves as people emotionally. They're an expression of large-scale emotional and energetic repression and energetic lack of processing. So that's why you had September the 11th, because there was, on a global scale, there was a massive unprocessed grief that needed to happen. The main outcome of September the 11th was grief, and there was war as well, but it was mainly grief. Grief and fear. So now we've been processing for the last 20 years or so, slightly less than 20 years, we've been processing the emotions of grief and fear collectively. That's why we have terrorism, terror, fear, terror, right? We've been going through a long phase of processing the emotion of fear, and then there's also the emotion of grief going on as well. That's why there's so many celebrity deaths. Grief, processing grief. Volcanoes. Sorry, I was saying about volcanoes. So volcanoes are going to come. I felt them about a year ago, maybe 2 years actually. And I made a little prediction, and I sent it to my dad and a couple of other people who just ignored it as probably one of my mad things. People sort of pick and choose what they want to pay attention to from the things I send them. But I sent a message saying, I predict that there will be, within the next 3 to 5 years, a load of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes as well. It was mainly volcanic eruptions, and I've still got a feeling of volcanic eruptions going on. But because volcanoes are an expression collectively of the earth and humanity, the intersection between the earth and humanity, the volcanoes are a collective expression on the planet of repressed rage. Blowing your top, exploding, repressed rage, pressure, releasing pressure. Okay, so that's to do with stress, rage, anger, and it's just a build-up of energy from the earth. And think of how the earth and a volcano works. You get a pressure, heat, all this magma, and suddenly splurts out everywhere, and then it calms down, and and then it settles down and it's fine. And it feels like it's the way the earth lets off steam, in the same way that we let off our anger by shooting people and punching pillows and shouting at people and stuff. So there's a correlation or a correspondence between how the world expresses, how the planet expresses, and how human beings express. And because we have been treating the earth really fucking badly for a long time, the earth is feeling that, like how we've been pummeling our negative hate energy into the earth, because all the stuff we do to take from the earth and to we just disregard it and we don't care, and like this, the earth has feelings too. The earth has a response to that. So it's like I don't believe in Gaia. I feel Gaia to be the case. I feel Gaia to be there. That it is real. It's not even a theory or concept. It's that, to me, it's obvious that the earth is a being. To me, it's obvious that everything in my awareness has some element of beingness to it. It's because it's alive, as in because I'm alive, because I'm conscious, therefore everything that exists within my consciousness has some level of consciousness. Because how can I be conscious of it if it doesn't have the property of consciousness? That's just another little thing. Yeah. But yes, well, volcanoes, there will be more volcanoes. There have been some, I checked it out recently. There's been some new ones with doing a bit of spewage. Volcanoes and landslides, mudslides, landslides and mudslides. Don't ask me why this one's going to happen. Pardon me, but there's going to be landslides and mudslides. A lot of them. Probably more than the volcanoes. And if this one's wrong, then fuck. I'll be wrong. But I'll just say it as though it's going to be true. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I really feel that's a really big one. The smoke one and the landslide, like shifting. It's like shifting fucking ground, a lot of shifting ground, like things collapsing, pulling the ground from beneath your feet, type of things. Things collapsing down like this. Things sinking in. It's a sinking and it's a slipping. So it's landslides, mudslides, the ground giving way, basically. It's a feeling of the ground giving way and the ground moving sideways. So that's going to be happening a lot. Okay, so that's that thing. You'll start seeing that coming up. I feel like there's a certain lag time between when I sense it and when it manifests. So, and I wish I'd been a bit more clued into this like before, because If I'd known that this was a real sensing, that I was sensing worldwide global stuff, then I would have like paid attention to it and written them down, because I could have predicted these black smoke things way before way before I did, because I was having these sensations way before they started showing up in real life. I was like, oh shit, maybe these are fucking real. Yeah. So landslides, mudslides, ground shifting, sinkholes, lots of that stuff going on. I don't really feel the hurricane thing. I don't think there's going to be many more. I mean, there'll be the usual amount. What I'm talking about here is like unusual, more like unusualness. And the thing with these ones is I don't feel like there's going to be much. I don't sense much human casualty to them either. I just feel like it's more an expression of the emotion. It's an expression of the emotion. There doesn't have to be much or even any necessarily damage to human people. I mean, there might be, but a lot of these things feel like they are just a representation that the planet is showing us. The planet just wants to do its thing, express itself, and and then move on. So I don't think that there's going to have to be massive casualties. It's going to be, things are going to happen where people are out of the way somehow. I don't know. I'm getting that sense. I don't hear people screaming, or I hear people screaming a little bit, but it's nothing major. The nuclear war thing has been coming on and off, and I think that's probably in response to people's fears. I'm not sure whether that's a reality or not. I feel that big happens very strongly in the collective consciousness, and people get really worried about it, and there's like more, I get visions of and I feel my whole fucking body having a vision of being a nuclear explosion. But then it dies down and it becomes less, and I think it's just, that's more of a fear and a potentiality. I don't think anyone wants that to happen, but it's definitely a fear. So it's more of an imagination type thing, and I haven't felt it to be a reality. There are this smoke thing and the volcano thing I feel to be realities, because the volcano thing I can sense as I used to sense it anyway, as a rumbling. It's a deep rumbling in my gut, near my stomach, and then there's this like explosive nature to it, and rage aspect, and also the thick black smoke thing. Keep coming back to thick black smoke. Look out for thick black smoke. There's gonna be a lot of thick black smoke pouring out of things. Oil fires, tar fires. There might be thick black smoke type of stuff going on the sea. Again, some oil spillages. We might have some of that going on. That's gonna suck. I hate oil spillages. Yeah. And then another one as well is explosions. Yeah. So I went through a phase about 3 months ago of sensing loads and loads and loads of very bright explosions. Very big explosions. So we've got fire, a lot of fire. So this is all a phase of fire. Fire, smoke, explosions, volcanoes. I don't know why the landslides thing is in there, but that's something else as well. Rearrangement, who knows? I don't know why that one is there, but this volcano and the fire one, I understand. It's all about expression of repressed rage. We're getting rid of toxins, and the earth is expressing itself and just going, fuck off, there's so much shit you've put into me. God. And here's the thing. The earth, I feel, is a homeostatic being, as in it likes to keep things working, it functions, it seeks to balance itself. The earth seeks to come into balance. The earth seeks to maintain life. The earth seeks to just harmonize the different forces within itself. So the earth is an ecosystem, as we know, as a total ecosystem. It's not just the micro level, it's the macro. The whole earth as its one thing is the ecosystem. So you've got the earth giant fucking ecosystem that it is, and it just wants to thrive. It wants to blossom. It wants to bloom. It wants to keep going. It wants to continue. It wants to survive. It wants to evolve its forms, its life forms. You know, it just wants to. The Earth is just kind of like it's just an organism that's sort of, what would you say, having fun. It's just making stuff, enjoying itself. You know, the Earth wants to thrive and expand and grow and change, and you know, it's just messing about with its forms. It's just a very creative force. The Earth is a very generative. It's very generative. It's always generating new life. It's generating new life forms, and it's also generating the potential for new life as well. So it's just always. Can you feel that? I don't know if you're getting imagery as I'm speaking, but I feel it's like a very, you know, the main purpose, if you like, from the Earth's point of view, is to carry on and to generate. It just wants to generate. It's very out-giving. It's just gives out life. It's giving out life forms. It's giving out new ways of expressing life, and it's just always giving out new things. So if you imagine if the Earth was a tree, it would have a billion different types of flowers on it. Each flower would be unique, and then it would be thinking up new ones to make next time round. And because think about the Earth, everything in it's all lots of different life forms, but all in different patterns with each other and in different interactions, and it's an amazing thing, isn't it, the whole Earth? So that's the Earth that's generating, and what humanity seems to be doing in terms of the balance there is to be really sinking a pile of arse into the Earth. It's like denting. So if you imagine the Earth to be like it's doing all this outgiving, like giving out, the Earth is the humanity is like really sort of trying to pull everything that it can from that generative nature, and the humanity is trying to take stuff from it and then also destroy it and bash into it. It's like humanity digs in and pushes into the Earth, and then it also extracts from the Earth. So if humanity were to actually try and synchronize with the way that the Earth is in itself, then humanity would be much more generative. It would be creative. It wouldn't be seeking to take things. It would be seeking to... If humanity synchronized with nature, then you would have a sense that all people were working together, right? Like every person would be doing their own thing, but it would be all contributing to the collective growth and evolution of humankind. Whereas what we have is pockets of people and individuals trying to take their own piece for themselves. I mean, it's like flowers and trees don't go about trying to steal from other flowers and trees. Even weeds have their place in the ecosystem. Weeds don't take over the fucking world, do they? Everything is there in its place. But humanity is like just really trying to take a chunk out of the Earth and say like, give me some stuff. Yeah, and the Earth is like constantly generating, giving out life, creating new life, sustaining life, you know. And the thing with humanity is that we think we're kind of bigger than the Earth, and we're not bigger than the Earth at all. The Earth's massive, so it's just ridiculous. And if you imagine that you were the Earth and you've got some annoying parasite trying to take from you all the time. Imagine you got a bird pecking you as a person. You're gonna fucking kick it off and just shake it out, just to fuck off, you know. So the Earth will, I sense this, the Earth will just fuck. What are you doing? Like, get back in line. The Earth will kick you back into place, and it has the potential. The Earth in itself could wipe out humanity straight away if it felt that it's just bollocks to this humanity. It's just fucking taking me for granted, you know. So I don't think it wants to. The Earth doesn't want to destroy us. The Earth wants us to become part of it again. The Earth wants us to merge back with it and to retain our sense of individuality so that we can do more. The reason we have individuality and the me self, from the Earth's perspective, is because it's a way that the Earth and consciousness can create more forms. So lots of individuals have lots of potential to create lots of new forms, lots of new things, lots of new ways of being. And from a consciousness perspective, consciousness just wants to create more stuff to have fun with and to enjoy and to see what it's like and to experience. And similarly, like from the Earth, if we see ourselves as arising from the Earth, which is where we came from, you know, if you think about evolution wise, if you choose to believe in evolution, I do choose to believe in evolution because I think it makes sense. The first signs of life are these just small little amoeba thingies in soup, pond soup, whatever, and then it grew, and then more complex life formed, grew and evolved and changed, and then more and more. And so effectively we emerged out of the water. We emerged out of like nothingness, but based in the Earth, based on this planet. So we came from the Earth. We are, everything we fucking do comes from the Earth, you know, and the sun, obviously, but the Earth and the sun and the moon and the cosmos. Okay, everything happens from the cosmos, but most fundamentally to our physical bodies, we eat things that come from the Earth. We pull it out of the Earth. We eat it. The cows and the chickens and all the livestock that we end up eating eat things that come from the Earth. So we are made of that substance of what the Earth is made of. So yeah, and water, obviously, which is part of the Earth. So the Earth wants us to kind of rejoin it. And stop taking from it. That's not part of its agenda. You know, the Earth just wants to generate. It just wants to generate life and continue life and to evolve life. And we want to just take too much. Our balance in the ecosystem is imbalanced. So, you know, we need to rejoin the Earth's agenda if we want to continue. And I feel like the Earth does not want to eradicate us. The Earth does not want to get rid of us because, as I say, we are an expression of itself. It's like, why would you want to chop off your own hair or skin or something, you know, or delete something from your being? You don't want to do that because you, the Earth is a very honoring creature, an honoring being. It gives space for all different types of things to exist, you know, all the fish, all the trees, all the flowers, all the birds, you know, all the insects. The Earth just allows for all of these things to exist and coexist in an intricate web and dance of life, and things devouring other things and things growing out of other things. It's all a teeming web of life. And humanity, just as a concept from the Earth, has one agenda, which is destruction and self. It just wants itself. So if we can reconnect our sense as being an offspring of the planet, as being an arising from the planet, as coming from the planet, and keying back into that, you know, synchronizing with that, then we can still retain the me self, but our me self, our individualized, you know, human being self, becomes more directed in the same way as the Earth to creating more pleasurable things for ourselves and nice things for the other human beings. And our me self finds ways to interact and harmonize with the rest of people. So yeah, that's that. And okay, so that's that. Oh man. Okay, let's finish off the video. So look out for thick black smoke. And I wish there was something more that I could offer you than this. You know, it's just, that's all I got. I can't tell you when, I can't tell you where, and I can't tell you exactly how. But that's what I've got. Thick black smoke, fires, volcanoes, earthquakes as well. Not so many earthquakes, volcanoes more to come. The landslide thing, lots of those, lots of shifting, feeling of shifting, the ground shifting a lot. And I saw this thing about Africa's got this tear going down the middle of it. That's part of that thing as well. So there are these things coming. I feel as though there's not going to be that many human casualties, but if that's wrong, I do apologise. This seems to just be a way of the Earth letting off steam and showing us who's boss. That last bit could be wrong. But yeah, so look out for that. And more prediction stuff to come soon as I experience it and as I feel it.